today. I'm going to introduce the next speaker, which is Jian Hui. Okay. Jian Hui is, okay, he has been serving, okay, I'm going to introduce Jian Hui too. So Jian Hui has been in 10 years in Toastmasters, served in various leadership roles, ESCO level, area director, division director, even district cloud growth committee. He organized and trained for different workshops such as the bilingual workshop for cloud growth. And presently, he's working in the HR executive in Leary Brothers. So that's his current job scope now. And I now proudly present Jian Hui. Jian Hui, over to you, brother.
Thank you, Gerald. Okay, so just a bit of correction. I haven't updated you, Gerald. So I'm no longer with Leary and Brothers. I'll be starting a new job in another company soon, but still in HR. So give me a minute. Let me see how do I share my slides. Shanshan, can you give me the access to share my screen?
Don. Okay. Okay.
Okay, can everyone see the slides?
Yep.
Okay, so just a small introduction on top of what Gerald said. So firstly, good afternoon, Division D Director, Region Advisor, Program Quality Director, past District Governor, and past Division Directors like myself. So also to our guests and friends from other districts. So I won't be having so much pictures, and I'll make it short and sweet since many of our other speakers, our other past leaders have already shared a little bit on their experience. So I'll just be sharing some lessons or some based on the experience that I've gained as a Division D Director in my term. So the 5 lessons that I will share are on listening, mentoring, change management, making difficult decisions, and celebrate and recognize. So firstly, to listen is a very important skill, not just in terms of being a leader, but I think in life, listening is a very important skill. But most of us, I would say, don't listen very well, although like we will listen to everything the person says without interrupting, but do we really process our thoughts? Because most of the time, if you can see, we pay attention, then we'll take action and share, or we will share our thoughts straight away. Instead of withholding judgment, reflecting and clarifying to see whether you really understood the person, you will already like pass judgment in your heart while the person is maybe sharing his or her thoughts on a certain matter. In your heart, you're already like, okay, I'm going to reply this to this point of this person. Then immediately after that, you will share your point. And that sometimes, you know, you are not getting the matter correct, the crux of the matter. So for example, during my term, it was just nice where it was the transition of our traditional education program to pathways. So there are actually many issues in terms of the change management for pathways. How do you actually find out what are the reasons members are resistant to the change or they are unable to change? So sometimes if you really listen well, instead of passing judgment, you will find out that it's not that the senior leaders are unwilling to change. The senior members are unwilling to change because maybe they are unfamiliar with tech. But sometimes their concern is more of, you know, pathways. I've already done my DTM 6 times, 5 times. Do I really need to do pathways anymore? Am I really needed in the club? But then you find out that actually their concern is more of how they can provide value, because this is a new system that, as what Yang Ping mentioned, is totally different in terms of, you know, how the system works. Whereas in the past, I also achieved my DTM in the traditional program, which is the Competence Speaker and Competent Leaders series. So how is it applicable now? But if you really understand pathways, the senior members' value and experiences are that they can still share, they can still give evaluations and guide the junior members on how to achieve their DTMs, because it's basically similar, just that both paths are now integrated into 11 different paths, but they still serve the same purpose. So you have to withhold judgment before you reflect and clarify on what the underlying issue is before you take action. Because if you think that, okay, is that they are unwilling to change. Then you have a series of workshops teaching them how you use pathways. Then that might not be addressing the issue. So I think listening is a very important skill before we are able to identify any issues and before we take action to solve them. Second, I think this is also relevant to what Shan mentioned. Being a mentor, as a leader, especially in Toastmasters, you are leading people, you are not managing people. Being a leader and a manager are two very different things, especially when you're not paying them a salary. If you are paying them a salary and you're micromanaging them, they might still stay for the salary. I mean, coming from HR perspective. But if you are micromanaging your leaders, and they'll be thinking like, why am I still staying here? You know, I'm not getting paid for this and I still have to be micromanaged. So as a leader in Toastmasters, I would feel that it's very important to give them the space to grow. And by doing that, one way you can do that is to recognize that, you know, there's a difference between rules versus recommendations. For example, when you are telling your ADs, your area directors, how to organize contests, what are the rules? Very simple. What's the time frame that district has specified? So for example, when district has specified that maybe say the district contest will be held in May, then you will tell them, okay, my division contest will be held in April. So my only rule is that you follow the rule book and then your contest has to be before my division contest. But then sometimes, you know, you will like add in your own experience. Like just now what Shansha mentioned also, just because you have 20 years doesn't mean everything you say is correct or might not be relevant anymore. So you could tell them, you know, you have to order the food from this caterer. That is a recommendation, not a rule. So give them free space to, you know, free play and grow and explore, because sometimes they might find better ways of doing things. But of course, at the end of the day, if you realize that they need help, then you have to step in and guide them, because I mean, after all, as a leader, you have already done it. So that would be where recommendations come in. Don't set so many rules for them, because in the rule book for contests itself, there are already many rules that they have to understand. And last but not least is to challenge them to go beyond, you know, what they think they might be able to do. Especially now, like for example, Shan said, now is contest season. So when you are having your area contest as well, usually many other contests are also held concurrently, because Toastmasters are only free on weekends. So, you know, ADs will be like concerned, like, can I get enough people? So I will challenge them, you know, I'm pretty sure you can do it, because also it helps the contestants, you know. What good would it be if, you know, there are more contestants than audience? So I'll challenge the ADs to get more participants, speak to their clubs to get the club members to come and support their own club members who are contesting. So from time to time, throw them some challenges to challenge them to step out of their comfort zone as well. And for change management, this is a very HR related topic, but I would say we have Toastmasters has experienced two great changes. One was planned and one was unplanned in recent times. One is pathways and one was COVID. So COVID was something that we couldn't really plan for, so that I'm not gonna share too much. But let's say talk about pathways. You already know that the change is coming. So the first thing as a leader is you have access to a lot of information that and resources that the members might not have. So the first thing is to understand the change. Second, you plan the execution plan. 3, you prepare your communication plan. Then you communicate your changes in advance. Then you address objections and overcome resistance. So one thing, what I did during my term to overcome the resistance of pathways is I realized, you know, many members still preferred having, you know, instead of uploading or they want to see their what are the projects for maybe say level 3 or level 4 in advance. But you know, in the pathway system, you can't see ahead if you have not cleared the preceding levels. So what I did was, there was a lot of there were many Toastmasters who uploaded these manuals or the evaluation guides online. So I just compiled all different paths into a Google Drive, and I send these resources to my club, so that, you know, it will also serve as a better guide for them to let their members know, okay, you can take a look in advance what these different pathways would want you to accomplish. And then that way, these members are able to better decide. So one thing as a leader, you have to understand what the change is, and then you communicate before you overcome any resistance, by speaking to the members. And I would say the last part of overcoming resistance is really the most important, because if usually the majority will change, the 80 to 90%, but it's really the 10 to 20% that could undermine all your efforts. You know, if they are still very resistant and the whole club has already changed, but they keep spreading maybe negative thoughts of like, no lah, don't change lah, no point, then everyone might start thinking that way as well. So I would say this part of overcoming resistance is really the crux in change management. And the fourth point on making difficult decisions, for our friends from other district, this is our founding father, Mr. Lee Kuan Yew. I believe that making decisions, we can learn a lot from his philosophy in leadership. So he once said, you know, even though certain decisions or policies that the government makes might be unpopular, but that's the right decision. And he also said that, you know, for important ministries like transport or healthcare, if the minister is not doing his job or something goes wrong, then off he goes. So that is something similar to what I did towards the end of my term. I spoke to a club to remove their club coach, which is probably not advised by many senior members, but I would say it's a necessary evil. Not necessary evil, it was a necessary step. Don't ask me which club it was, I'm not going to reveal. But some of us here in this room would know about it. So what happened is this club coach was assigned to the club at the start of the term. And this club coach did turn up for 2 or 3 meetings during the start of the term with the club. But over time, I think because this club coach's priorities or other commitments couldn't allow this person to support the club as actively. So towards the second half of the Toastmasters year, this club coach didn't appear at all for the club meeting. So there was no way this club coach could support the club anymore. And by the time the club had its AGM, only 2, including myself, attended the club's AGM. So something I proposed to the outgoing and incoming president was to make the difficult decision to remove this club coach. And I mean, if they were afraid of any backlash or repercussions, they can just tell the club coach it was my advice or my decision. And thankfully, after having gotten the new exco and a new club coach for this club, today the club, I think it's now a president distinguished club. Chan.
SMA, is it?
No. I'm not revealing the club, but that club that got the club coach removed.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's now a president distinguished club. So I think making difficult decisions sometimes as a leader, if the leaders under you or the people under you are unwilling or unable to make difficult decisions, then because you are the leader who were elected by your members and the other leaders, then it is your responsibility to have to make this difficult decision when the time calls for it. And last but not least, you know, after a whole term, celebrating and recognizing everyone's achievements and efforts are very important. So this is a picture of my division achievers evening. Yang Ping was there as well. I think many of us here today were attended this event. So I would say that this is something very important, you know, at the end of the term or at the end of the journey, you need to recognize and remember everyone's contribution. So like, for example, you know, coming from a HR background, as Gerald mentioned that I'm in HR, the reason why people leave their companies sometimes at the end of the year after bonus is because they feel that, you know, my bonus is not enough to recognize my hard work for the year. Similar, in Toastmasters, there's no salary, but if people have put in the hard work to help you for the year, then it's only fair or humane that we recognize their contributions and thank them with just a simple meal or plaques and awards to show them that, you know, your efforts have not gone unnoticed. And I think this will help build relations like what Gerald and Yang Ping mentioned. You know, they're still having a lot of gatherings with their Toastmasters friends, other leaders. So I think it's very important to celebrate at the end of the day because it marks a milestone and it's sort of a closure. So that is all for my sharing. Thank you very much. I will hand the time back to Division D Director Shan Shan.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, my